We are back with another video about the trip to Provo, Utah. This time we're going to document what I had to say with Tom Sitake, a legend and somebody that I was very proud to meet. He really had a huge impact on me, and we're going to talk about it now.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, where we're talking about the trip to Provo again, as well as some other things, guys. We're going to talk about Utah versus BYU announced going to be prime time. That's a big time deal. And we're going to have some final thoughts. I have West Virginia content coming out today as well, but I did want to fulfill my promise to the people in Provo as we make sure to get the rest of this video out to them. So let's make sure we do that, right? I'm all about keeping my promises in this life because it's, you're going to be judged upon that at some point in the day. All right, let's get to it, man. We'll share the screen here, and we're going to start where the other video left off in a lot of places, because unfortunately Mr. Sitake's part of the video got cut out, which I'm endlessly sad over. But this is at a place called Ernie's Deli, and something that, man, if you want to talk about a breakfast sandwich, this is the spot right here. As you can see, this thing's really good, but he can be difficult to understand at times, but the message behind what he's saying is awesome. Let's go. So what he's saying here is Kalani Sitake told their crew that they needed to sing the fight song whenever they lost in Morgantown 2 years ago, I believe it was. So obviously a big lesson in that, right? And that's the kind of program that BYU is, the kind of program BYU runs. And so that was cool, right? For Coach Sitake to say that. And he kind of keeps going on here. Okay, so basically that whole conversation, and I wish I had a little more of it, but he talked about, and I was so infatuated with it. Let me get off of here for just a sec. I was so infatuated with Coach there for a long time that I just totally forgot to ask him about or to record some of the things that he said. And one of the big things that he said was how they came here. And it was from Hawaii, and they're Tongan in nature. And so you come to a place like Utah and you really don't have much. And then you're listening outside of the stadium, and then all of a sudden your son's playing for BYU, and then your son's coaching BYU, and now you rule from within the stadium. Like I said, it's just an amazing story. And I think it needs to be documented someday. Maybe it already has been. But certainly I thought it was something that was worth talking about on here today. As well as the behind the scenes tour we'll get ready to show you, because unfortunately this was cut out the other day as well. But I do want to say, I want to thank Coach Sitake for allowing that to happen. I want to thank McKenna for allowing that to happen. She set that up. Meeting Tom was really inspiring, and he had a lot of awesome things to say. So certainly a big time conversation um, and all that. So you saying you can't hear it? Wonder why. Oh, it's probably because it's really hard to hear. I apologize. It's just I didn't have any microphones. Sucks. I wish it was louder. But just if you can turn it up. The next segment is in BYU TV, so we'll play that now. Let me see here. We go into the portal for a second. All right, so this is a BYU TV thing. Basically, this was a behind the scenes tour of BYU TV where they've got ESPN, they've got a little bit of everything going on here. And I really enjoyed my time doing this. I think it was just a really fun thing. And, one of the coolest facilities I've ever been in. So this is BYU TV from behind the scenes. So we're going to fast forward this just a bit. Okay, so this is where I kind of want to go to. This is the studio where they record at BYU TV right here. And this is our entrance into it. I want to make sure. Can you guys hear it all? You can't hear any audio? I just want to know. Let me know. Um, Before I keep going, I don't want you guys to not be able to hear anything. But you should be able to hear something because I can hear it, certainly. So, all right, we'll keep going then. Um, so yeah, this is an awesome facility, man. I really enjoyed this time. So we had Jerem on the show about right for the BYU game. I think it was on Wednesday. Then we had Dave McCann over here on the show, maybe the next day or the day after. But they were both really super nice guys. So, they were all like what you see is what you get with these people, really nice, very engaging people. I think it's just a culture thing because it's everybody you meet, whether that's Walmart, whether that's anywhere else you go in that town, it's just a little different. And I mean, like West Virginians are nice. It's not like we're not nice, but it's another level. It really is there. And I like to say when people are practicing the principles of their faith, sometimes you can just see that. And I know that's not an opinion that everybody shares, but it's an opinion I believe in. Um, and this is the thing. I mean, whether you believe what they believe is true or not, at the end of the day, they still believe in Jesus and all that. So it's not like it's a total far cry from everything everybody else believes. But neither here nor there. Point is when people practice a faith and believe in something bigger than themselves, I think it serves them well. It's one of the biggest lessons we learn in recovery. So that's the conversation with Jerem, and then we'll show a little bit of Dave's conversation as well. I guess I cut his face off. I didn't realize I was doing this. And that's a cool fact. The Brad Paisley thing. I thought that was really cool that he kind of tossed that out there. And then we'll show you guys lastly here before we jump out is them in action in studio, which I think is really cool. They do a countdown. So here we go. So a pretty cool behind the scenes look at it all. And at the same time, I wonder why you guys can't hear this. I have no clue. It's frustrating, man. I would I don't know why. I mean, it's playing in my ears, so it's like uh, I don't know. It's I don't know. I've tried to. I've got everything turned on as far as audio goes. I mean, I've really tried to make sure you could hear it. But at least you saw it this time, I guess. Next time, maybe we'll play the audio, I guess. Either way, at least you guys could see that. I wish you could have heard the conversations, but apparently I'm not literate enough with the computer to do better. It's frustrating, but basically they were introducing themselves, and then in Dave's case, the second guy, he was talking about knowing Brad Paisley and being friends with Brad Paisley. So really cool stuff. Yes, I'm using StreamYard, and I shared the entire screen. So I don't know why. Sometimes StreamYard messes up as well. Could be that. It could be a multitude of things. But we do have to go to break. We'll come back and we'll talk about the Utah versus BYU game that will be in prime time, which I'm excited to talk about next. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by Peloton. Look, with Peloton, it's pretty simple. When they do it big around there because they're shaping the future of fitness with brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus. It's powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. I love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It's actually tracks your reps, so it's the right weights, corrects your form, making every rep safer and smarter. All right, we are back on Locked On West Virginia in segment 2, and I appreciate you guys for joining in. So let's talk about this primetime game, Utah versus BYU. I think that's a big game, obviously. It's just announced earlier, I believe, or maybe it was yesterday, but that game will be at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. I have had my eye on some matchups in this game. It'll be October 18th, so it's still a couple weeks out, but it's the Holy War, so it's okay to start talking about it a couple weeks before time. It'll be in Lavelle Edwards Stadium in Provo. It's a Big 12 clash, 2 top 25 teams, in my opinion, and most of the country's opinion, although they've got Utah ranked a little bit lower, and also BYU really low, in my opinion, as well, but whatever. Obviously BYU's on a hot streak, man. They're averaging around 435 yards a game. They're holding their opponents at 226 yards a game. They haven't lost this game since 2019, I believe. So, it's pretty big deal. Obviously, BYU's won the last 2 meetings. The 22-21 comeback last year with Retzlaff, I remember watching that game. It was a good one. But this is the best Utah team that they've played in a while, I think. And It's going to be interesting to see how this game shakes out because strength on strength, right? You've got two really good defenses. You've got two very efficient offenses. You know, I would say that Utah has probably shown some vulnerability through the air. They do allow right around 220 passing yards a game. So, and if you look at their lone loss, it came against a high scoring Big 12 team in Texas Tech. Maybe, but I've got 10 matchups to watch here in this game that I think are going to be massive. Um, Starting with Chase Roberts and Jackson Benny. Both are really good players. Obviously, Chase Roberts has 20 catches, 395 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Real big deep threat. He really stretches defenses. As you saw, he turned Michael Coach Jr. around the other night. Really played well in that game. And then you got Jackson Benny, a two-way stud, man. 3 interceptions on the year, leads the secondary in picks at Utah. He's also used on offense. They end arounds, they do a bunch of different things for him. I think the Utah would be smart to play him on one side or the other now because not everybody's Travis Hunter, man. That wears somebody down over the course of a year. LJ Martin versus John Henry Daly is another one I think to watch because, obviously he's LJ Martin is absolutely crushing it right now. 76 carries, 490 yards, 3 touchdowns, balanced attack for BYU. Daly, is obviously a sacking machine and it gets in the backfield. He's a disruptive force, one of the best players in all the Big 12. He anchors a front that's top 5 in sacks. They've got 11 total. Still one less than West Virginia somehow, even though we haven't had a sack in 3 games. He's got an elite first step. We know that. It'll test BYU. I think, obviously Daly's going to target the edge, and we'll see what they do. It's going to be an interesting matchup. What about Bear Bachmeier versus Devin Dampier? I think that's going to be an interesting matchup. Obviously, Bachmeier is a freshman phenom, 79 for 115, 68.7% completion percentage, over 1,000 yards on the year with 7 touchdowns and a pick. And he torched West Virginia. He's torched most people. He's taken 4 sacks. And so maybe Daly can get back there and make some impact in that aspect of the game as well. Obviously, Bachmeier's mobility is very good, although he hasn't needed to use it a ton yet this year. We'll see. If you look at Dampier, will Jack Kelly be healthy enough to spy in this game? Or will Isaiah Glasker have to spy in this game? It's going to be interesting to see which one of those 2 elite linebackers can hang with Dampier when he decides to pull it and run it, because it's going to happen. Dampier has 1,000 yards in the season. He's got 72.5 completion percentage, 11 touchdowns, 3 picks, 258 yards rushing, and 2 touchdowns. Truly on his way to being one of the better big players in the Big 12 this year. I'm really going to be watching to see the quarterback matchup in this game. I think it's a big one. Wayshawn Parker versus Logan Lutui, however he says his name. Wayshawn Parker has been just a revelation for Utah this year. I'm curious to see how Logan can potentially round him in this year. BYU's got a run-stuffing defense, man. They allow about 98 yards a game. So can Logan's gap control help dictate what Utah does? We'll see. I think it's going to be interesting for sure. What about Satwala versus Ryan Davis from Utah? I think that's an interesting matchup, because, obviously Satwala, he patrols the deep third. He's got an 89.1 Pro Football Focus grade in the deep third of the field. Ryan Davis has 36 catches. Just really playing elite ball. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does against that possession receiver. Dallin Bentley versus Isaiah Glasker is an interesting matchup, man, because I think they're both elite players. Both are probably NFL pros. And who gets off on who first? That's the question. So we'll continue to watch out for that. Evan Johnson versus Tobias Merriweather is another big one. Obviously, Evan Johnson has 2 interceptions on the year. Really opportunistic secondary for Utah. Tobias Merriweather has 6 receptions for 96 yards, but he averages 16 yards a catch. He can be a real big deep threat for them. Continue to watch that, as well as potentially a matchup for him with Dallin Bentley as well. Jonathan Hall for Utah is another big-time player that I like for them. 26 tackles on the year. He's a sideline to sideline kind of linebacker that is maybe not as heralded as some of the other linebackers in this game. So we'll continue to watch out, see what he does again this year. You know, I'm really interested in seeing it for sure versus Parker Kingston. I think, obviously he is just a really, really good player. He absolutely dusted us the other day. So really looking forward to seeing what happens there. Raider DeMooney versus Nakari Rogers is another big matchup. Safety versus running back. If Nakari Rogers is able to get to the second level, can Raider DeMooney keep him in check? We'll see. Other than that, that's all I got on the matchup. I'm just curious to see how you guys felt about it. Obviously, yeah. It's going to be an interesting matchup. I really don't know how game day doesn't go there, right? I think that's going to be a game that, game day just has to be there. I don't know why they wouldn't go there, but, I'm sure they'll find a way not to make it. It's just how it is, man. Let's go to break. We'll come back and give you my final thoughts. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by Square. Look, your neighborhood runs on Square if you didn't know this. And look, your neighborhood spots are running on Square. There are certain businesses that make the neighborhood the neighborhood. These are places that become an extension of home, whether it's a sports bar dedicated to your team's fan base, the spot with the best wings in town for game day, or that beloved local chain that's been rooted in your community for years. These businesses are what bring people together. When the neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. That's right. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go to your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did, and see you in the neighborhood with Square. And, of course, we can't forget about our friends over at FanDuel. And FanDuel is doing it pretty big right now, if you didn't know. As the NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes game days experiences so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, we are back here, Locked On West Virginia. Thank you guys so much for being here as we dive back in to segment 3. Obviously this is going to be an interesting off week for West Virginia. I'm curious how it's going to be managed. There's not a whole lot of news going on, to be honest. I think for me, one of the things that I take solace in is that our players are getting healthy. We need that. We just, unfortunately, are so beat up right now. And I want to know if this team can improve at all over the next couple of weeks as they get healthy, because we're going to need it. We're going to need it. Hopefully we can win a couple games down the stretch. UCF is going to be a game that I think most people point to that we can win. It's winnable. They're in their first year. We're in our first year. Why can't we? Why not us? Well, we'll see. I think they've obviously had a better first year than we have, no doubt. But stranger things have happened. That's for sure. I don't count Rich Rod and them guys out to get us better during the bye. It's just been bleak here the last 3 weeks, the Ohio loss, everything. I mean, it's just been a mess. I guess we all should have saw it coming. It's just, you let your expectations get the best of you. I did. So I'll be back with some West Virginia content here in a little bit. I wanted to do this video and complete my promise to the Utah Valley people. I do apologize that the audio is not playing. I don't know why that is. I expected it to, but it did not. So, it's one of those things that I guess I just need to, as far as technology goes, get better at. But at least you saw the video. I think, that was something I wanted people to see, was just what the Ernie's looked like, and, Coach Sitake and BYU TV and all that. So, at the end of the day, I can't, like I said the other day, when things go wrong with technology, can't beat yourself up over it. You got to move on. And that's exactly what happened again. So I guess I probably should. The thing is I can hear it, so it doesn't make sense to me why you can't. But without somebody else, I guess there's really no way for me to prep that or to try to see that. So I guess I should have had somebody else jump on with me and see if they can hear it. And then, just test it first somehow. But I didn't think I would need to. It's just so weird that I can hear it, but you can't. But it is what it is. I appreciate you guys so much for jumping on. Like I said, I'll be back in about 30 minutes or an hour with some West Virginia stuff to talk about. I just wanted to do this video and, talk about it. It was a great experience, as I talked about earlier the other day. That video went nuts, 34,000 views now, I think it's at, the first one. So, clearly that video hit, even though it had some issues. And then, not even mentioning the fact that all the BYU subscribers that came through, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of them. So, it's been a pretty cool experience to see. All right, guys, I will see you later. Until then, we're out of here. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, by the way. I forgot to mention Locked On is partnering up with College Football Fire TV with College Football Kickoff. With Drake Toll, I know you know about it. You guys are probably watching already. With Locked On and Fire TV, it's your ultimate college football weekly preview, where Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. It's a college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. All right, guys, I'll be back in a few. We're out.